Hi guys, so today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my TBR list for August. My camera lens is right there. Okay. I'm going to be talking to you guys about my list for August, and we're just going to get right into it. I have my Kindle right here, and I'm going to be going through the list of books that I have on here. So just so I can tell you guys already, there's one book I'm in the process of reading. This is Forbidden. It is really good so far. I'm like, oh, what are you doing, Ryan? What are you doing? Stop. It's really good. It's, jokes aside, it's a really, really interesting historical romance novel. I'm a historical romance kind of person. Love it, love to read it. And this one so far has been tickling my fancy. All right, now, it has a nice slow burn to it. Anyway, so just to clarify to some of you guys, my Kindle is essentially jailbroken. I have a Kindle Paperwhite 12th generation, and oops, I'm trying to unlock it so I can show you guys, because I have quite a few books on here that I'm excited about. Cancel. You know what? I feel like I need to sit down. I'm standing and I need to sit down. Hold on. Okay, I think this is much better. Also, so this keeps like jingling and making a bunch of noise, so I'm gonna temporarily take it off. I don't normally mind it, but I'm gonna be moving around a lot in this video, and I'm sure you guys don't really want to hear that, so give me a second. Alrighty, so let's get into it. So yes, like I said, my Kindle is jailbroken and I use co-reader on here. I have quite a few books, so let's go right into it. So just to clarify, the book that I was just reading is called Forbidden. It is by Beverly Jenkins. It is super good. She has so many other romance novels that I would also recommend. However, for me, Forbidden is one. So that is the first book on my list that I would like to read for the month of August. I like just a nice little like light, playful read, something that I can read winding down the day or in between doing like work-related stuff, things like that. So that book is 100% on my list. I would say the next book, the next book that I would really like to read for August is How to Break Up with Your Phone, The 90-Day Plan to Take Back Your Life. It is also by Catherine Price. I read this book the start of 2025, was vibing with it, I was following along with it, but I fell off. All right, I basically fell off and I just stopped reading it. There was no particular reason. I have been wanting to essentially disconnect from the internet. I say as I record a video that's gonna go up on the internet, but in terms of like leisure usage, I didn't really want to be on my phone and use my computer, my laptop, the internet as much. I feel like there's so much unintentional information consumption that happens when I get on the internet. And yes, I've done screen time and blocked things off and all of that, and that is fine. It's dandy, it works really well. But just overall as a whole, I want to utilize as much of my day-to-day just doing things that are not online related. And there's a lot of things that I'm working on right now where it's very easy for me to get distracted being online. I click on one thing and then like 5 other things come up and I just don't really have time for it. But I don't mean to yap. I just really love the book. I liked where it was going when I read it. There were a lot of things from the book that I was implementing or things that I had already been doing. A couple years ago, I think like slightly before the pandemic, I had already done a social media detox. I detoxed for 30 days, no socials at all. And I honestly feel like even just doing that has completely changed my outlook and how I use social media, how I post, how I look at other people's posts. I just don't use it the same way. And I found that after doing that detox, that it really just kind of made me realize, I don't need socials. I don't need social media. I don't need to use it. It doesn't need to be on my phone, etc., etc. So it's funny because right underneath that I have digital minimalism, choosing a focused life in a noisy world. I think that's another one I will probably like loop right back into. Like I'll read that immediately after How to Break Up with Your Phone, because How to Break Up with Your Phone is pretty short. But the digital minimalism book I am excited to read because again, I really want to I mean, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to minimalize a lot of the electronics that I use. I actually went and I bought an iPod Nano to use to listen to my music instead of using my phone, instead of using Spotify, YouTube, all of that. I just want to have a specific set of songs that I can listen to when I want to listen to music. That way I'm not getting sidetracked or distracted. I have a Nintendo Switch actually that I also like will play games and stuff on instead of my main PC, because I can get really carried away playing on that. You know, if you use a console or a DS, then it's like, oh, battery's low, and then guess what? You have to stop playing. Whereas a computer, it's plugged in, it's on, and it's on for however long it's gonna be on, okay? So those are my two so far, How to Break Up With Your Phone and Digital Minimalism. The next book that I think I would like to read, White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I have read this book. I've read this book before. I don't remember it very well. I started rereading it. Guess what? Earlier this year, I didn't finish it. Yeah. So I have to pick that back up again. I loved the book when I read it. It's one of those cases where I don't necessarily remember exactly what I read, but I do remember how it made me feel. I remember crying a little bit when I first read that book. So I do want to pick it back up again, especially with the themes of like loneliness and romanticizing things, not just romanticizing people, but just romanticizing the world around you and using the world around you to make life feel fuller and feel less lonely. You know, we think about loneliness and I feel like we always correlate it to a lack of people in our lives, but loneliness can quite literally just be, you know, not looking at every single thing in our lives as something to acknowledge or to put effort into or to romanticize and to pull love or loveliness out of or from. So I really want to resume reading it. I will probably do a book review. That's what I originally planned on doing here, was doing book reviews and reading a book and then talking about how I felt after and how it made me feel, what I was thinking about, things it reminded me of, so on and forth. So White Nights is another one. I have to finish it. It's like one of his shortest books, if not his shortest book. Dostoevsky, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. Then I have Gone Girl. This is a certified hood classic, I know. And again, it's another book that I started and stopped. I would love to get around to reading it for August. I know some of you guys are probably like, girl, how are you gonna read all these books? But I have a pretty flexible work schedule, and I read all throughout the day. I can finish a good 2 to 3 books in a week. So I'm hoping that that is what will happen with some of these, especially since some of these are shorter reads. I do also read manga. I read it on my Kindle. My Fire tablet, I use that for reading comics specifically so I can, you know, see them in color. But I do read manga. I was gonna include manga in this video. I think I'll do a separate one because, or maybe I'll do one for anime and manga, because I don't really want to, I don't want to mix it up. I feel like those are two totally different mediums, you know? So yes, Gone Girl. I have not seen the film and I don't want to watch the film until I read the book. I'm one of those people, okay? So I do want to do that. I love the way that the book is written and the pacing of it. I actually was listening to the Gone Girl soundtrack as I was reading the book when I was reading it earlier this year. So I kind of want to get back to doing that. I don't do it every time with every single book I read, but for a lot of them, I absolutely love cutting on a soundtrack or the adjacent like mood or tone and reading it like that. The next book I have on here is The Hobbit. Now, I started reading The Hobbit. You guys can't really see it, but on my top bookshelf, I actually have a leather-bound collection of the Lord of the Rings series. And I started reading my physical copy of The Hobbit, and I just didn't get around to it. And I do want to say, for a lot of these books, for White Nights, Gone Girl, The Hobbit, I have physical copies, and I'm actually getting rid of my physical copies of my books so I can put everything on the Kindle. But while I have my physical copies, you know, I want to sit down, I want to read through them, and enjoy a physical book. Like, as much as I love this thing, it is not at all the same thing as book in hand, you know? So The Hobbit is one. I saw the Lord of the Rings movies when I was very, very little. Shout out to my uncle for putting me on. But I don't remember them very well. And if I watch them again, I really want to be able to connect the dots between book and movie. So that's really all that is for me. Next book I have that I would like to read. I have the Essential Works of Lord Byron. I want to get around, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I remember I was reading another book that referenced him. It was a book, was it a historical romance? I think so. And they referenced him in his poems. And I was like, ooh, so he's in here to read. This is more of a loose one, like optional. It's not a necessary TBR for me, but it is on my list. Next, I have Rogue. Yes, I'm reading that properly. Sorry, guys. I'm reading, the books are listed like this. I'm reading, another one I want to finish is Rogue by Mona Awad. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I started reading this and it was a very interesting concept. It seemed like the book was going to talk about ageism a little bit, beauty, the fear of growing old just as a whole as a woman and what that means and what that symbolizes. The book also was kind of like it had a gothic tone to it. I don't want to say gothic romance, but like a gothic thriller. That's how it was described, I think, when I looked it up. So I'm very intrigued. I want to read it. And I would love to get back to it because I liked the vibe, I liked where it was going, and the cover is gorgeous. It's pitch black. I can't show you on my Kindle, but it's pitch black with this really bright, bold, blue-based red. It's so pretty. What else do I have on here? My Year of Rest and Relaxation. I want to read all of her books. Tessa, I want to read all of her books. I have to finish My Year of Rest and Relaxation. One, it is like the book, one of the top tier book talk books. You mentioned book talk books, and I promise you someone will mention this book. I love the cover, of course. There's another book that is very similar to it in terms of its cover, and it just went out of my head. It's a single title book, and I can't remember. But I feel like, I don't know if I should read My Year of Rest and Relaxation. I don't know if there's some kind of bad omen or something in the air. But when I first picked up the book to read it, I had just gotten out of a relationship. I broke up with someone. So I was like, oh, this book is kind of therapeutic for me right now reading it. Then I picked it up again when I had just gotten into a new relationship. And I was like, oh, wow, like this was what I was putting up with in the last relationship. And then when me and that person broke up, then I picked up the book again and I was like, well, here we are. Ground zero, we're right back. 360, baby. And then I didn't finish it. I didn't finish it. So I really want to. I like the book. I like the tone. I unfortunately did hear some reviews before I finished it of people saying that they felt like the book basically is nothing. It tells no story. It doesn't, it's just, I don't want to say it's just a woman complaining all day, but the book is called My Year of Rest and Relaxation. So I mean, if anything, I'm expecting exactly that. I'm not expecting some deep, long, explosive twist and turn plot twist book. But just from the bit of it that I read and I can remember, it was very laid back. And it was an easy read. I remember the first time I picked it up to read it, it was in an airport, and on my flight. And I was like, wow, this is a good pick for me. So I do want to finish that. Another book I started reading The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I did not finish the book. I got maybe 15% in it. I said 15% specifically because that's what my co-reader is telling me. And I did like it. I enjoyed it. I liked where it was going. I absolutely loved the intro. That is an intro that I will never forget. It was unexpected. The pacing was off, and it set the tone for the book, which I really enjoyed. So I will be circling back around to The Bluest Eye. I don't know if I'm going to do that for August, but if I end up having the open space, I will probably revisit The Bluest Eye. Is there anything else? I think that's it. I think that is my entire TBR for August. I have other books like 7 Days in June. I have Twilight in here to reread. I have The Deep. I have Homesick for Another World. The Laws of Human Nature. Amusing Ourselves to Death. A book titled Am I There Yet? Slightly Married. Blue Nights. Queen Charlotte. Like the book Queen Charlotte. And a few others. 10th of December, Sharp Objects, The Last Sane Woman, Dune, of course. My brother read it and loved it, so now I have to catch up with him. I have some Ernest Hemingway here. The Old Man and the Sea. Aqua Viva is on here. All About Love. A book titled Aesthetica. Of course, The Stranger, the classic. And I have a book called The Flat Share because I watched a miniseries called The Flat Share and I loved it. And I was like, wow, I need to read the actual book then. I need to read the book if I enjoyed the miniseries so much. But yeah, I think that is pretty much it, you guys. That is my list for now. I don't want to say that I've been lazy per se, but I have not been reading to my fullest potential. I know that I have so much time in a day to be reading, and I hadn't been doing it. And it sucks because I love books. I used to read so much when I was younger. I think I mentioned it in I think the first video I'd ever put up. I had mentioned how much I used to read, and I have so much free time. And I think I'm craving reading so much because when I did my social media detox all those years ago, one of the main things I did was read, and I got a different type of dopamine, I think, from doing that. You know, so many people mention dopamine hits and stuff from social media and scrolling, well, doom scrolling and being on your phone. But you do get dopamine from doing things like drawing, sketching, reading. Like, it's just not as high of an amount as what you get from doom scrolling and your phone and socials. So I will be bringing this back to life. And for anyone that is curious, I got some of these things, well, pretty much the little heart, the little, what are these called again? Hippers, the phone hipper and the Popsocket. I got all of these things from Etsy, and I will list them in the description box for all the sellers, for, you know, if any of you are interested. This little phone charm thingy, I actually used to keep this at the bottom of my Kindle. I got this, I think, a very long time ago from Shein, so I'm afraid it's not available now. I don't know where you could get this. I'm sure you could find it somewhere or make one. You just need little Hello Kitty charms. And same goes for the little heart up here. And then here's the hipper up close. But yeah, the little hamster up here. And then the back of this is just, I printed this myself and put it in here. I forgot what you would call these. It's cardstock essentially, but I don't remember the name. I know it has a name. This is from the manga Peach Girl, which is one of my all-time favorites. It was my first anime technically, but this is actually from the first novel, the first book, and I just slipped it through and put it in here. And yeah, and originally instead of this one, I had a Hello Kitty Popsocket that I put back here. It's on my desk. I'm literally looking at it, but I can't get up to get it. So anyways, that is it. That is my TBR. I'm going to try to read as many of the books as I can for this month. Whatever I finish, great. Whatever I don't, it'll just get moved on along. I do also have a book journal that I started, but I have to restart because I did not read any of the books that I said I was going to read. That's on me. That's on me. So I'm going to get back to all of that. And I forgot. So this is what I took off my Kindle, by the way. This is really a phone charm, but I believe it's what, Rilakuma, and it has a little jingle bell in it, but I took it out. But you can still kind of hear it, you know. But I have like 2 or 3 of these, and I put this back there as well. But I took it off because it was gonna be annoying while recording the video. But anyway, I'm done yapping. That's it. I will see you guys for something book related, or at least to follow up on this video come the end of this month. Bye.